Bodies are dropping left and right in a military base as a little boy is walking through all the chaos, but he couldn't care less about all the deaths he just caused, and instead he is just interested in finding a woman called Asaka who he has been looking for. A door opens and that same Asaka is seen being held at gunpoint by a woman who we haven't gotten the backstory for. Asaka is surprised to see Yogiri somehow managed to get into this base where she was held captive, but the one holding her hostage threatens to kill her if Yogiri takes another step closer. As she points the gun at Asaka's cheek, Yogiri just stares at her for a bit, and soon after, she drops dead. Asaka has no idea what Yogiri did, but once again, he cares very little for the life he just took, and is just happy to have his Asaka back. And now, Yogiri is being shaken awake by a different girl whom he doesn't recognize. She tells him that her name is Danura, and he asks what she's freaking out over, but she is more surprised that he was able to stay asleep through the huge incident that happened to them. There are bodies on the floor of the bus, and she's got no idea what they are going to do. Outside the bus, they notice a tail moving, so Yogiri throws a microphone at one of the appendages that had stabbed through one of his classmates, and it causes a wyvern that was outside the bus to writhe in pain. It gets up in a position that makes me question the nature of the appendage that was in that boy, and then it charges at the two of them in the bus, so Danura is sure that they are going to die here since there is nothing they can do against a beast as powerful as that thing. But in the heat of the moment, she presses her melons against Yogiri, and that gets him to care just enough to say something and cause the dragon to drop dead before them. Danura is confused and doesn't understand what just happened, so Yogiri pulls out a video game and tells her to calm down so they can talk. But she gets upset that he thinks now is a good time to be playing games. She asks if he doesn't want to leave the bus already, but he sees no reason to be in a rush since there is no guarantee that the outside will be safe for them to venture out into. She understands his point but asks that he put the game down and take the situation seriously for now. Yogiri obliges and asks to be informed of what happened that led them to the situation they find themselves in right now, so Danura explains that they were riding the bus like they would any other field trip day, but as they went through a tunnel, they found themselves in a sunny meadow. At first it was a pleasant yet confusing surprise, but then someone boarded the bus and introduced themselves as the sage Shion. She seemed nice enough at first glance, but as the teacher asks the reasonable question of what's going on, she boons his head off without hesitation. She tells everyone that she doesn't intend to harm anyone directly, but if they make her angry, they can fuck around and find out. She tries to make a joke, but it is so spectacularly unfunny that she freaking kills the driver for her own lack of a sense of humor. She explains to the rest of the students that she izakay'd them all here to become sages. This world is ruled by sages, but it is occasionally necessary to replenish the number of sages, which is why they were summoned here. She waves her hands and causes a majority of the students to begin glowing as she installs a system in their bodies called Battle Song. It comes with a status window, but Danura didn't get one, so she isn't sure what it looks like. Shion goes on to say that they have been given what this world calls gifts, so they are going to have to use those gifts well to become sages in the near future. Also, they only got 1 month to become sages, otherwise they die. Danura raises her hand and asks what happened because she didn't get one of those gifts, but Shion just says that there are times when people aren't suited to receive the magical gifts. So in other words, tough luck kid, you're screwed. Without a gift, she's doomed to become nothing more than livestock in this world. So with that out of the way, she tells them all that their first quest will be starting soon where a dragon will be attacking them, so they should try their best not to die. Danura's friend is looking over her menu screen and sees information about the dragon that will be attacking soon, though Danura still can't believe an actual dragon is going to attack. One member of their class gets the attention of the others and asks that they all work together so they can clear the mission, and to do that, they are going to need to know what they are working with, so he asks that they all reveal the gifts that they were given. The class comply with his requests and write down their abilities to formulate a plan, but Danura, who doesn't have an ability, can't participate. However, she wasn't the only one who didn't get an ability since there were 3 others who had the same thing happen to them. Ayaka Shinozaki and Yuichiro Kiryu. And then there is also Yaguri, who managed to sleep through the entire commotion undisturbed, but then again, it's not like he ever did anything other than sleep in the first place. A while later, the rest of the gifted classmates who were sharing their ability lists begin to leave without saying a word to any of the people in the back who didn't receive one. So Danura tries to wake Yogiri up so they can follow the rest of the class as they exit the bus, but the one who led them the gifted class stops Kiryu. He tells him that he didn't receive a gift, and while those who did have gained some kind of special ability that allows them to do things like rip a chair out of the ground with ease, the rest of the class are just regular people who are still failing P class. Shinozaki asks the gifted class to protect the ones without gifts since they have the power to do so, But the guy thinks it would only become a burden for the class if they had to protect people who were so weak the entire time they were trying to become sages. Thus, they came up with an ingenious plan. They are gonna ditch them all here and use them as bait. Everyone in the class agreed to do this to them, so there's no one to appeal to for help. Another one of their classmates uses her ability to cast charm on the giftless classmates, making them all look far more attractive than they were before, but unfortunately, they're going to match with that dragon and it's not going to be a pleasant experience for them. The rest of the class leaves them to their fate and they have no idea what they are going to do, but things only get worse for them as the dragon arrived and began the slaughter. And that leads us to where we are now, though someone was peacefully sleeping in the back of the bus while his classmates were getting slaughtered. Yokari now understands the gravity of his situation. He is in another world, so how is he supposed to charge his video game without any outlets available? Aside from that, if what they learned from the gifted class is to be believed, then there is likely only one dragon in the area, so it should be safe for them to head outside now since it is already dead. Before they go, Danara asks Yokiri if he did something to the dragon earlier, but he just says he told it to die and it died. She doesn't believe him, but that's what he did, so he just steps out of the bus. There are 3 options for places they can go to after this: a hill, the city, or the forest, but it's probably a good idea not to go into an unknown forest unprepared. Before a decision can be made, Danara notices something flying towards them. Yokiri asks if it is another dragon, but this time it is 3 of their classmates, Higashida, Fukuhara, and Hanakawa. She's surprised to see them flying in, so Yokiri asks if he should kill them, just in case. Danara stops him since they should at least hear them out before they murder anyone, but Yokiri points out that leaving the giftless behind to be killed isn't something a good person would do. Danara still doesn't want to have to kill anyone, but even if she doesn't hold a grudge against them, they may still be hostile towards them for no reason. The 3 gifted students are shocked to see that the dragon is dead and moreover, Danara is still alive. Their plan was to use their powers to turn her body into a zombie and, well, do monetizable things to her. And they say all of this right in earshot of Danara herself, so she realizes Yokiri may have been right about them not being good people and is suddenly much less opposed to killing them. Higashida launches a fireball which is powerful enough to melt straight through the bus and carve into a mountain behind them, all to show the power difference between them and force Danara into giving up and becoming their plaything. Higashida says that he decided in this world that he would do anything he wants, and the first thing on that list is to screw Danara along with the other 2 guys who say they've been dreaming about this for a long time. Danara is freaked out by the thought of what they would do to her, but Yokiri tells her to calm down while he puts them in a situation where they can have a civil discussion. He then points at Higashida and tells him to die. The others laugh thinking Yokiri is just being cringy, but to their utter shock, he actually does fall to the ground and die. They don't understand what happened, but Yokiri told him to die and he did. Nothing much to explain there. He tells them not to move, but the other one drops to his knees to help his friend, and as a result, Yokiri tells him to die as well. Hanakawa is now the only one left, and Yokiri reiterates that if he moves at all, you'll be killed. Yokiri now begins to explain his ability, but first he instructs Hanakawa to check to make sure those guys are actually dead, so he goes to them and starts trying to heal them. His healing ability allows him to help anyone recover from injuries, no matter how grave they are, but his powers do nothing here because the people he's trying to heal are already dead. Hanakawa starts saying Yokiri went too far with this, but they were the ones who came in here trying to kidnap Danara for loot purposes. Yokiri's ability is instant death to any target, so if he simply thinks about wanting to kill someone, they will immediately die without exception. Hanakawa can't believe what he is hearing since that power is way too broken, but he tries to play it off and get in close for a sneak attack. However, Yokiri stops him before he can do anything stupid and informs him that he also has the ability to determine if there is anything killing intent directed towards him. So when you combine the 2 abilities, literally anyone who has the intent of killing Yokiri may die just because they thought about harming him. Hanakawa breaks down, realizing that there is no way he can win against Yokiri, but Yokiri asks why he got so full of himself after having just received his gift, so Hanakawa explains that this isn't the first time that they have come to this world. A while ago, the magicians of the Kingdom of Iman summoned them to defeat the Demon Lord, but the gist of it is that they went on adventures in this world for about a year, and once they finally defeated the Demon Lord, they were returned to Earth. Velvet can't seem to remember those 3 ever disappearing for an entire year. According to Hanakawa, after they were returned to Earth, they found out that only a few hours has passed since they were initially summoned, so Yokiri takes that to mean that there is a way for them to return to Earth. He raised his hand to finish off Hanakawa to prevent any future issues with him, but he begs to be spared by Yokiri. He tries to get Danara to help him out here, But after what he said when he initially came here, she is the last person who would ever want to do him a favor. As a last resort, Hanako pulls out a rare slave collar item which will make the wearer unable to disobey the commands of the first person they see. He puts the collar on and is